The Ifrit rarely speak of the Conqueror Yatsek. When they do, it is in hushed whispers and behind closed doors, for they say that to invoke his name is to tempt the fates. Yatsek is always listening, biding his time until he is freed of his bonds and can unleash his fury on those who imprisoned him. They are not wrong. A massive fire giant wreathed in smoke and embers, Yatsek ruled the lands long ago in the age of gods and myth. He claimed the sun and all that burned as his own, and he and his enormous phoenix ruthlessly crushed any who opposed his reign. None could match his prowess in battle or his mastery of the fire element. The Ifrit, generally a proud and powerful race, often rebelled against Yatsek. He demanded worship, tributes and sacrifices made in his name. After each of their uprisings, however, the lands ran with the blood of the fallen. For eons, Yatsek remained indomitable. It was a young Ifriti, Janae, who devised the strategy that at last brought an end to Yatsek's tyranny. Within the elemental plane of fire, the Conqueror was all but unstoppable. So Janae sought to lure him into the material plane and away from the greatest source of his strength. Over the millennia, the fire giant had grown complacent and overconfident, and the ruse worked. Yatsek was promised a tribute of fire and a sacrifice of thousands. Instead, Janae brought him to the rim of Pretoria's abyssal caldera, the crater of a collapsed and dormant volcano said to be bottomless. There the armies of the Ifrit attacked. They snared Yatsek's phoenix in a great net of flame, sending the beast plummeting into the caldera. In a rage, Yatsek slung great scythes of flame that tore into the ranks of the Ifrit, slaying legions. Still more pressed the attack, but the fire giant stood strong. When all seemed lost, the legendary Incayendium Brigade charged the Conqueror. They overwhelmed him with their sheer numbers, and the fire giant, as well as the entire brigade, toppled into the bottomless pit. The remaining Ifrit used their magic to blast the rim of the caldera, and great slabs of stone tore loose and toppled into the crater. They then sealed it with arcane wards of binding. If indeed it had a bottom, Yatsek would be buried there beneath indeterminable mountains of rock, trapped for an eternity with the corpses of those who had defeated him. Time passed. Yatsek waited. The darkness was vast and endless. Days passed, years, decades, centuries. The Conqueror Yatsek lost track of their passing. He waited, trapped beneath a mountain of stone and bound by the arcane wards of the Ifrit. He was aware of the struggles of his giant phoenix as it fought to free itself. In time, its struggles grew less frequent, until at last it grew still, save for the fluttering beat of its heart. Yatsek could not move, yet he was not still. His anger churned endlessly within him. When Mount Pretoris erupted and spewed forth its lava, Yatsek drew upon its surge of mana. He shattered his wards, dug himself free of the rock and began to climb. It took him many days to ascend the depths of the abyssal caldera. When at last he reached its top and stood upon the crater's rim, a great storm raged. His phoenix called as it circled above him. In the distance, through the rain and the strobes of lightning, the tentacles of the dark god Oukour flailed at the sky. Below, a vast army marched across the land. The Conqueror Yatsek extended an arm, and his phoenix swooped down to settle upon it. The bird ruffled its feathers and eyed the world curiously. Yatsek set his jaw and clenched his fists. The ground trembled as he started down the slope of the caldera. Now he walks the world with a singular focus: to hunt down and kill every Ifrit until none remain. To fulfill his barbarous quest, he has aligned himself with the Chaos Legion. He leads their armies, his phoenix raining fire from the skies as he slaughters any who stand against them. Vengeance has a name. It is the Conqueror Yatsek, and he will not stop until the last Ifriti has fallen.
Ages ago, there was a giant, a fire. The Ifrit feared him so, and they grew tired of his violence. So they trapped him in the mountain of ash, and he waited there as decades passed, till the day that chaos came, and the Legion freed his flame. Now the embers start to rise, as his phoenix takes the skies. I hope you don't come across him, the mighty Conqueror Yatsek.